Hello, and welcome back to our Friends in Faith series on the Ten Commandments. My name is Tri Fritz, and I'm the Director of Adult Religious Education at St. Philip the Apostle Parish. Over the next 2 weeks, we are going to be focused on the 9th and 10th commandments, both of which revolve around coveting. Now, other Christian faiths actually combine these into a single commandment. The Catholic Church actually does separate them into coveting thy neighbor's wife and coveting thy neighbor's possessions. Coveting is an important concept when we look at the totality of the Ten Commandments because they do relate to each other. Our previous videos were on sins of deed or action. This is the lying, the stealing, or adultery. However, what we need to recognize is what brings us to those actions. And it's usually when our thoughts are corrupted by sin, and coveting is a sin of thought. It's coveting and those thoughts that leads to the sins of action. It leads to the sins of lying and stealing and adultery and others. Now, in desiring to move ourselves away from coveting, doesn't mean that we have to move ourselves away from the desires that we do have in our lives. There are many desires that we have that are very positive, that inspire us to be better people, to increase our engagement with God and with those around us. But coveting is a negative desire. And even in its definition, it's not about uplifting. It's actually about taking something from someone else. Now, biblically, the best example of this is found with Adam and Eve in the garden. We're all familiar that they ate the fruit from the tree of good and evil. However, what led to this? And it was a desire that became coveting. That was the temptation that the serpent offered them. We see this in Genesis chapter 3, verse 5, very specifically when the serpent did say to Adam and Eve, "When you eat of it, your eyes will be opened and you will be like God." Adam and Eve ate the fruit because they fell into the sin of desire and the sin of coveting in order to be like God. Now, this moves us into the 9th commandment, which is coveting thy neighbor's wife, although we can really take that more broadly as coveting another person. Most obviously in our culture, we see this in terms of sexuality. And I'm probably talking mostly to men right now about the sin of pornography. This is coveting images of women or men purely for gratification. The sin of coveting pornography is that it is a rejection of the whole person. We take a very specific part of a person, something that we desire, their sexuality, and we toss aside the rest of that person, of who they are. There's no relationship in pornography. There's no engagement with another person. There's no moving forward with our lives through pornography. In coveting a person, we reduce that person merely to a need that we have. And at the same time, we reduce ourselves. Pornography is an overt example. Some are more subtle. I'm probably talking to more women right now in bringing up the beauty industry. how many magazines or TV shows or other means are out there that are telling you that your value as a person is in how you look? Now, they will present models or actresses as a means of making you feel unworthy unless you look like that person. Once again, we are tempted to focus on a very superficial aspect of a person, reject the rest, and then add it to ourselves as though we will become that very person. And then, of course, our problems will all be solved. This is the same false promise that was offered to Adam and Eve, and humanity has suffered from it ever since. So as we go forward in our discussions and in our lives, I want you to reflect on your desires. Do they come from a positive place in your life? Do they come from a place that is honest and pure? Do they engage and uplift? Or do they reduce and reject the people around you? God wants so much for us. God offers us so much, especially constantly offering His love. Let us be open, let us be respectful, and let us engage in not our desires, but God's desires for us. God bless.